Good evening, everybody. It is Sports Historian here once again. Um, yeah, it's been a while since the last time I've done a postseason predictions video. I don't think I even made one last year, or excuse me, earlier in the season. I had a lot of personal issues going on. I just didn't have the mindset to do it. But to make it up to you guys, I'm here again with the postseason predictions. Yeah, so this season was crazy. Let's just recap it real quick. Well, first of all, the White Sox just shit. Okay, there's just no any other way to put that. It's just not good. 41 and 121. It's really bad. It's the worst season statistically, not the worst season, but record wise, like the most amount of losses, pretty much. The New York Mets had a winning percentage of 250 in 1962. We had 253. But I give the 1962 Mets a pass because that was their first year in baseball. And they just drafted a bunch of schmucks off the street. And you may as well just say that about the White Sox too, because it's not great either. I mean, they had like some decent, players at the start of the season. I didn't think they're going to be this bad. I knew it wasn't going to be great because we lost 101 last year, but I'll save my White Sox rant for another video. But we're talking about the postseason, not the White Sox. Yeah, and I was, Arizona was my second team, and today they had a chance to make it in, sneaking as the sixth seed. Fortunately, it wasn't in the cards. The Braves and Mets snuck in, and the Diamondbacks are shit out of luck. It is what it is. So I will make a World Series prediction video recapping, my picks and stuff and all that. But before I do, please like this video, subscribe, comment, tell me how I can improve and all this stuff. Yeah, so without further ado, 2 minutes in, let's just get started. So the first matchups are going to be the Tigers and Astros. So the Tigers were not expected to make the playoffs this season. They were expected to be in a rebuilding stage like they've been for the past few seasons. But they started getting hot in August. Mid-August, they were about 500. They probably would have been like 82 and 80 like the Twins were. Because at the time, the Twins and the Royals had those two wildcard spots, locked up, in a sense. However, the Twins started to collapse while the Tigers started to get hot. I think they went like 22 and 8 down the stretch and were able to clinch a spot like 3 days before the season was over. So they got the sixth spot. And then the Astros, they were in a crossroads in the beginning of the year. They were not good. The Mariners were doing very well. They were 10 games above the Astros in the AL West. And they lost it within like 2 weeks to a month, I believe. Typical Seattle Mariners. So, anyways, the Astros, there should be no introduction. They've been to the playoffs for the past 8 seasons, I think. Yeah, this is their 8th straight season of making the postseason. They're just, the same team, the same core pretty much. A couple of new additions to the bullpen. You got Josh Hader, who was amazing this year. They all struggled a little bit, but they started to pick it up once Jordan and Jose Altuve got back. They also picked up Yusei Kikuchi at the deadline. He's pretty good. See, the Astros have the advantage because they will be at home this series, and they do have playoff experience compared to the Tigers, who do not have any playoff experience, but are just riding off a really good win streak right now. See, I really don't know how to predict the Tigers here because, to be fair, they haven't made the postseason since 2014. In that series, they got swept by the Baltimore Orioles. So they haven't won a game since, I think, the ALCS of 2013 against Boston. So it's been a while since they've been in the playoffs, so I can't really, predict, their, how they're going to play in the playoffs. But I have confidence in this Tigers team. They don't necessarily have a star like the Astros do. However, they just have a really good group of guys with a really good manager that knows the Astros very well. AJ Hinch used to manage them, won a championship in 2017. The Tigers' pitching is very good, okay? The bullpen scares me a little bit, just a little bit. Compared to the Astros got a better bullpen. I think the Astros got a better core starting rotation. However, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to handle these Tigers, you know? I mean, it could go either way. It really could. But I believe in this Tigers team. I think they're just writing off too much of a hot streak to be stopped. The Astros didn't really look as dominant as they usually do, so I'm going to go with the Tigers in this one. And they will, in my opinion, face Cleveland. So the next wild card series is in the AL still. We have the Kansas City Royals back in the playoffs. They haven't made it since 2015. Bobby Witt Jr. has been the star. Him and Salvador Perez went off this year. They both had like 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, I believe. Then you have Cole Reagans being their ace in the rotation. What they got for Aroldis Chapman for the Rangers a couple of years ago. Well, actually, it was last year. They got a solid team. They spent money this offseason. They got Hunter Renfroe. They got Seth Lugo, Will Smith for the bullpen. They got pieces. They have a chance against the Orioles, who they're facing. They have Gunnar Henderson. They have Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holiday, Knucklehead Eloy Jimenez. I'm not happy about it. They have just a really good team overall. However, this Baltimore team did disappoint me last year against the Rangers. They just fell flat. They just looked dead. They just kind of disappoint me because the Rangers last year just, treated them like they're nothing, The Royals actually faced the Orioles in the playoffs in 2014 where the Royals swept them. I think this series will be a little bit more competitive, but yeah, I think the Royals have a chance to win against the Orioles. They'll be playing in Baltimore this series. The last 10 games, Baltimore has been 7-3, and the Royals have been 4-6. So Royals haven't been doing as well lately. However, I think once they get going again, I think they'll be fine. I think the Royals are going to win though, because the Orioles, to me, so far haven't really proved that they can win under pressure yet. They haven't won a playoff game since 2014 in the ALDS. Yeah, against the Tigers. So yeah, I got Kansas City in those ones. All right, now we go to the National League Wild Card Series, which we have the 6-seeded New York Mets and the 3-seeded NL Central champion Milwaukee Brewers. So the New York Mets snuck in to the playoffs because of the tiebreaker with the Diamondbacks and Braves. They still have a really good core. They're not, jamokes off the street like the White Sox. They have Pete Alonso. They have Francisco Lindor, Francisco Alvarez, Jose Iglesias. They still have Joey Lucchesi, Jose Quintana in the starting rotation. Sorry to Kodai Senga. He literally got I think he got surgery and then he tore his ACL or something like that, and then he was out for the rest of the year. Anyways, they got a good core for hitters at least. The bullpen, we got Edwin Diaz still locking down saves. We'll see how that goes. They've been kind of inconsistent. They're 5-5 in the past 10 games. I'm not sure how to predict them. They looked good against the Braves. We'll just have to see how that goes. They're playing in Milwaukee this series. So on the road, they're statistically, they're not that great. But the Brewers in the playoffs haven't really been great either. So this series is going to be hard to predict for me. But the Brewers, they lost Yelich to injury again, to his back. He was finding his form, but, he had another back injury. They also have, Corbin Burnes is with the Orioles now. So they still have Freddie Peralta. I think Brandon Woodruff's back. I haven't really been keeping up with the Brewers too much. Their bullpen has been surprisingly very good still. I'm being sarcastic. Their pitching has always been good for the past 5 seasons. They've been amazing. The big problem was with the hitting, cut the slack and actually get their shit together. And this year, yes, surprisingly, they have getting their shit together. Willie Adames still leading down the charge over there at shortstop. You got William Contreras behind the dish still doing amazing. I mean, this Brewers offense has really surprised me this season. And mix that with the really good pitching, even after Burns' departure, I got Milwaukee this series. I got them winning 2-0. So they're going to Philadelphia for me. So the last wild card series is between the Atlanta Braves and the San Diego Padres. Braves obviously have made the playoffs for 7 consecutive seasons. They won the World Series in 2021. They still got the good core. They still got what's his name? Not John Peter, Jorge Soler. They got him. Eddie Rosario, Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, and in the rotation you got Triple Crown winner Chris Sale on the mound. But the thing is with the Braves for me is that I don't see them going that far because not because of their talent, is the talent that's been injured this whole season. Ronald Acuna Jr. tore his ACL in his other knee, so he's been out the whole year. Austin Riley fractured wrist, 6 to 8 weeks. Chris Sale got back spasms. He couldn't pitch tonight, so who knows when he'll come back? I don't think he will come back in the playoffs. So that's a big hit to that rotation. They just have a lot of injuries, and honestly, I was surprised they even made it into the playoffs in the first place. So making it to the playoffs is an accomplishment for them. An embarrassment to the Diamondbacks. Like, you're doing well, you have all your players, and you still can't make it in. I digress. Now I got the San Diego Padres, who have been doing very well. They have won 93 games, which I did not expect after not making the playoffs last season. If it wasn't for the Dodgers, they probably would have won the division, and they probably would have had the number 1 seed too. They have Fernando Tatis Jr., who's back in form. Manny Machado still doing amazing. Jay Cronenworth. On the pitching side, you still got Joe Musgrove. You got Yu Darvish in the bullpen. You still got a good bullpen. So overall, they're just a really good team, and they just know how to win. And the big thing last year is that they couldn't win in one-run games or really close games or in extra innings or anything like that. But this year, they picked up their game a little bit and started winning more in those contests. So in the last 10 games, they're 7-3. So that's pretty good. The Braves have been they've both been 7-3. So with that in mind, they play in San Diego as well. I got the Padres winning this one pretty easily. All right, so now we go to the division series. We have the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians. Now, I know I already introduced the Tigers, but I forgot to mention this earlier. Tariq Skubal also won the Triple Crown. He's probably going to win the Cy Young too. Guy's a stud. Those 100 miles per hour as a lefty and a funky release point as a starter. He's just filthy. So that's going to be their ace, and we'll see how he does in the playoffs. I'd be curious to see. And now you have Cleveland, who has the 2nd seed in the bye week. They have Jose Ramirez still. I think Shane Bieber's still out, but they have like a lot of prospects that they brought up, and they have been doing very well. Picked up a couple pieces at the deadline, and in the past 10 games, they're 5-5. They're all right. But Cleveland, to me, is like the Brewers, but in the AL. They have really good pitching, but it's if the offense can pick it up. And like the Brewers, they actually been doing very well. And they're, they won like 93 games, so that says a lot. I think it was 92. This is going to be a good series. It really is, if this does happen. Tariq Skubal, he can only do so much. Like, besides him, you have good pitchers, but compared to the Cleveland depth that they have, I think it's just going to be too much for Detroit. I think this is, a good experience for them to even crash the postseason. I think they're still like a year ahead of schedule. So, Tigers, great season. I think it ends in the division series. I got Cleveland moving on to the championship round. And now the second ALDS is the Royals and the Yankees. Yankees got the number 1 seed. They traded for Soto in the offseason. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto have just been the new age Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. They've been doing great. They both hit over 40 home runs. Judge had 58 homers and 144 RBIs, I believe. They were just amazing. Then you have Ben Rice making, some noise with the bat while Rizzo's been injured. On the pitching side, Garrett Cole, he was out for a little bit of this year. He's getting back to form. The Yankees are always going to be good. And I think it's going to be too much for the Royals right now as they stand. I think they still are a little, they're like the Tigers. I think they're a year ahead of schedule. So I think this is a good experience for Kansas City. I just don't think they're going to make it past the Yankees. The Yankees are going to be too tough. I got them moving on. Now I got the Brewers and the Phillies for the National League Division Series. Philadelphia, second seed, 95 wins. They've been doing amazing for the past couple of years. Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, Trey Turner, JT Realmuto. On the pitching side, you got Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, who's probably going to win the Cy Young again. Bullpen's been amazing. They picked up Gregory Soto at the deadline. Like, this team is just so good. They've been good for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if they won the World Series this year. I think they will sometime this decade. They're due. They were close in 22. They just got, rattlesnaked last year by the Diamondbacks. So I think they'll beat the Brewers with no problem. If the Brewers even make it that far, I think the Phillies are going to handle them no problem. So I have them moving on. Now, if this series happens, I'll be very excited because this would be peak playoff baseball. You got the San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodgers got the number 1 seed, 98 wins. Shohei Ohtani is just amazing. Even with, a tornado or UCL, he's recovering. He's starting to throw again. Dude just goes and have a fucking 50-50 season, the first one in baseball history. 54 homers, 59 stolen bases in one season is crazy. I mean, Freddie's been out because, his son got diagnosed with a disease. I hope he's doing well. He was out for that, and then his ankles, I don't know if it's probably just sprained or something. Then you got Mookie Betts, who was out for a little bit. He had a broken wrist. I think he was out for 6 to 8 weeks, too. So the Dodgers had a lot of injuries, but they're still good. They still have a lot of depth, and that's why they're still good. The pitching side, Walker Buehler's back. Kershaw's doing whatever. Yamamoto was kind of let down a little bit to me at the start, but he's starting to pick it up back up again. This Dodgers team is still good. But is it better than the Padres in the playoffs? I don't think so. I think the Padres are better than the Dodgers when it comes to the playoffs. In 2022, they've won against them in 4 games. The Dodgers have been known for choking. They lost the Diamondbacks very, very bad last year. They got swept by them. That was embarrassing. I think that trend continues for the Dodgers. They just, to me, I don't know how much Shohei is really going to help them out in the playoffs. I mean, I really don't know what to expect. I'm happy he's in the playoffs, but I think he needs to get some reps in before I could really judge him and how much of an impact he can make for that team in that spot. That's why I got the Padres moving on. Besides, I think they got better pitching core right now. So now we move on to the championship round. We have the Cleveland Guardians versus the New York Yankees, the 1 and 2 seed. Now, I've been talking about this Yankees offense a lot and this Cleveland pitching a lot as well. How will that affair, you may ask? Well, simple. Pitching wins you championships. If your pitching's good, you'll make it far. If you do just enough on offense and hold it down on the pitching side, to me, that wins you championships. Okay? Sure, Judge, Soto, amazing players. But to me, they really haven't improved themselves in the playoffs. Except Juan Soto. Juan Soto has. But against a Cleveland team with really good pitching, I'd be curious to see how that would go. Juan Soto did win a championship with the Nationals in 2019. He went on a tear. He went off on Garrett Cole, his own teammate. He was playing for Houston at the time. And this Yankees offense in the playoffs, to me, seems kind of cold. I'd be curious to see how they do against Cleveland. But as it stands, I think Cleveland's the better team when it comes to pitching. I might eat shit for this, but I got Cleveland going to the World Series this year. And now it's time for the championship series in the National League. You got the Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres. Now this is going to be a rematch of the NLCS from 2022. Yeah, I still think the Phillies are amazing, but the Padres are back to form from what I've seen, and they've added on too. Philadelphia did too, but I think the Padres are just really, really good this year. They surprised me a lot, like the Tigers, but it's not more of a surprise. It's more like a finally type of team or type of year for them. But that said, I think Philly, they're just demolishing everybody in the playoffs. It's a tough choice for me, I mean, I got to go Philly. It's got to be Philly. They've been very consistent in the playoffs, and I think that continues against the Padres. Prove me wrong, San Diego. So, World Series time, right? We got the Cleveland Guardians and the Philadelphia Phillies. This would be a great World Series. I know I was talking about the Cleveland pitching and the Philadelphia offense, but to me, Philly seems like the completest team in this whole playoff picture. They have the best hitting. They have, pretty solid pitching that can get them through. And their bullpen with the new additions of Gregory Soto, what's his name from Anaheim? Carlos Estevez. I think that puts them over the edge, and I think your 2024 World Series champions are going to be the Philadelphia Phillies. And that's it, guys. That's my playoff predictions. I did that on one take. So I'll come back in a couple weeks, like a couple days before Game 1 of the World Series this month or this next month. I know I'm going to be enjoying watching playoff baseball. So thanks for bearing with me for the past couple months and years and stuff. I'm going to try to improve this channel a little bit. I know it's been kind of shitty quality for the past couple years, but I'm literally recording this on my phone right now. So once I have, my own place or a new place, that is, I'm going to try to get like a new camera, a new microphone, like a whole new setup instead of just being in my workroom or whatever. So it will improve over time. Just, give me time, all right? In the meantime, thank you guys for watching, and I'll get back to you soon. Peace.